Greetings everyone, and welcome back to the Noctilucant channel. It has certainly been a while since I have done a collection update video, and well, reasons are many for that. For a long period of time I was just really obsessed with black metal, and I was dedicating a lot more work to my other channel, which that channel is now on a hiatus, and now I'm feeling more motivated to work on music, and I've just been more into exploring more post-industrial and dark ambient, all that music once again. So maybe things will be more active here going forward. But I can tell you for sure though is today I'm going to talk about some albums I bought about a month ago. As well, I think next week I'm going to film another video where I talk about some stuff that I bought even another like 2 or 3 months ago. But as far as collection updates go, that'll probably be it for a while, because I gotta save money. It's just that's all there is to it. So anyway, I don't want to dilly-dally around too much, but as you guys know on these videos, I oftentimes pour a beer and drink it as I'm talking about music. So today we have the Imperial Pajamas Coffee Porter, or Stout, I'm sorry. It's a brewery from Chicago, Illinois, which is Bagley Brewery, is that what that says? I don't know. But my friend John and his wife Janelle, they stayed with us last weekend, and John's a big dark ambient fan, and it was cool spending the weekend with him and hanging out and going to some breweries, and then we started a beer trade, and this was one of the things that we got. So I'm going to try this out right now. No idea what it's going to taste like, but coffee stouts are typically very good. Well then. Of course, we pull it into the medieval times glass, as we often do, or I think I've done in the past. Or, I don't know. Oh, I know. So we're black as hell right here. Love it. Cheers and all that good stuff to you, my people. Thank you as always for watching. Holy shit, that is a coffee stout if there ever was one. This one packs a 9% alcohol, and this right here is literally pretty much like drinking cold coffee, so excellent. Anyway, intro aside, we're going to talk about some new albums that I bought in the past month or so. And I will start off by saying that none of these albums were really planned to buy. I didn't buy these off of Discogs or eBay, and just a local record store happened to have these sitting here about a month ago, and well, a friend of mine, or I believe a friend of mine, he has been bequeathing a huge part of his collection, and these are, I'm pretty sure they're from his collection. So anyway, to kick things off, we're going to talk about Nordvargr's Helvete. So Nordvargr, undoubtedly one of the most popular and prolific Swedish industrial musicians. He's been an active musician since, I believe, like 1988, way back then, starting up with MZ412. He has, over the years, contributed or been the mastermind of something like 20 different projects. Some of those have been one-off projects, while other ones have sort of continued on throughout time. Like, I believe MZ412 is still going. Folkstorm is another one. Both Foreigners, I can't get the words pronounced right now, but quite a few different projects. Very prolific and well-known musician. He had a lot of releases on Culminate Industry back in the day, and certainly a legend of the scene. But the majority of his music has been released under the Nordvargr name. His real name is Heinrich Nordvargr Björk, or at least Heinrich Björk. I don't know if the Nordvargr is actually his real name or part of his real name. But so yeah, totally random find here. This is a 2007 release on Eternal Pride Productions, and basically what we have here is industrial ambient with something of a, I guess, something of a black metal undercurrent, while not being black metal. Very noisy, dark ambient, but still, as it sometimes goes with, I guess, industrial ambient or industrial dark ambient, there is a sort of soothingness to it, and if you're like me, you can definitely zone out to this, but there certainly are some more dramatic moments on this album. It also has some guest vocals from 2 black metal musicians. One is Rest from the black metal project Leviathan, which is a long-running solo project from California. I can't think of the guy's real name off the top of my head, but he's had several albums. He had several demos in the late 90s and started putting out albums in the early 2000s. Like, I guess some people like him, but I always thought his music was really boring, honestly. But that aside, but he's got a really good black metal shriek, and basically what you get here is these sort of industrial soundscapes sort of intermingled occasionally with some of those vocals. There's also another vocalist named Drakon over here who does also some very, very good black metal vocals. I'm actually not 100% sure if that person is from a black metal project, but I would have to assume so. But yeah, this is a cool stuff. I mean, for a random find, I wasn't like blown away by this by any stretch of the imagination, but it was very cool to hear more of Nordvargr's discography. And as I kind of said, his solo discography is quite huge and just so much to dig into. So much, fortunately, a good portion of it is on Spotify and so on and so forth, so I can definitely look into it some more as I please. There's a front cover and back cover and within the digipack here. Yeah, cool stuff. So definitely, if you're looking for some more noisy, dark ambient, very horror sounding, and just bleak as you'd probably expect from a dark ambient release, well, this is worth looking up. Nordvargr has been done. Alright guys, continuing on, and I have to say, I was absolutely stoked to find this out in the wild. So fucking cool, man. So the band here is Ordo Equilibrio and their album, The Triumph of Light and the 13 Shadows of Love, originally released in 1997 by Cold Mid Industries. Oh yeah. So Ordo Equilibrio is a project that originally formed in 1993 by Thomas Peterson, a Swedish musician whose career started in about 1990 with an industrial dark ambient project known as Archon Satani. Archon Satani was a duo of Thomas and Mikko Stravostrand, and they put out a couple releases in the early 90s, and then parted in about 1993. Thomas, of course, went into Ordo Equilibrio, whereas Mikko went on to Inanna, and about 6 months ago I posted a video about Inanna, so you know how much I like that album, and yeah. So anyway, Ordo Equilibrio, a bit hard to describe, and honestly, for its time period, I cannot think of anything else that sounded exactly like this. It is a very unique sound and a very unique theme, too, I guess you could say. Musically, we're treated to music that's somewhere around dark ambient, dark wave, and then neo-folk with maybe some, minuscule kind of industrial characteristics, too. Thematically, Ordo Equilibrio is heavily centered around like S&M and bondage, and over the years they have certainly put out some very provocative photos, to say the least, and it's been a central theme of the project, and of course, this project would later on become known as Ordo Equilibrio Rosarius. It seemed to coincide with Thomas's, relationship status. On this album, he was with a woman named Chelsea Crook, and then later on he met Rose Marie, and then when he met Rose Marie or hooked up with her or whatever, that was when they became known as Ordo Equilibrio Rosarios. But Ordo Equilibrio is a bit different from Ordo Equilibrio Rosarius in that OER, let's just call it that from now on, is more neo-folk themed, whereas this has a lot more of the dark ambient, dark wave characteristics. I mean, a lot of the keyboard parts, at least to my ear, sound like, and this probably is a bad comparison, but it definitely falls into probably what some people would call like dungeon synth nowadays or whatever. Certainly not intended, but it does sort of bring me back to some of those Mortis records from the early to mid 90s, and has that sort of same atmosphere, same kind of melodic ambient touch to it, I guess. Then you have like a lot of spoken vocals, both from Thomas and Chelsea, and then occasional acoustic guitars, and then some songs that are more neo-folkish, but it doesn't sound like Kurt 93 or Soul Invictus. It's got its own unique thing. It's the guitar work is very simplistic, and quite honestly, the main driving point behind the songs is the keyboard parts more than anything, but still very interesting stuff. This album isn't great, but it isn't bad either. I feel like the band probably got better after they released their fourth album, then known as Ordo Equilibrio Rosarios. It just seemed like they kind of the vision was more focused, so to speak, and the compositions got a lot better, and they have continued on since 2000 under that name, and they put out some very good songs, some very good albums. I only own one album from that era, but I've always meant to get more. I don't know, I never really found them on the wild, so it just never happened. But I've listened to all of it, and I've always enjoyed it. So anyway, this is worth looking up. It's interesting seeing sort of the early version of that band, and how things all started out, I guess, so to speak. So there's a look at the front cover here. Booklet here that unfolds to have lyrics and whatnot, all that kind of good stuff. And of course, as I already said, it was released by Cold Meat Industry, and if you know what's good for you, you'll know that Cold Meat Industry put out a lot of really great and just really unique albums. So yeah, Ordo Equilibrio. Well then, continuing on, and since we've sort of already mentioned this band, here's Archon Satani's In Shelter. So Archon Satani, as previously mentioned, was at one point in time, from 90 to 93, the project of Thomas Peterson and Mikkel Strabelstrand. Well, in 1993, Thomas left the band, and afterwards, Mikkel put out 3 more records as Archon Satani. This being the second one he did solo in 1994 and released by Dark Vinyl Records. How to describe this then? Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind as I've listened to this a few times is that it's very minimal sounding. It's, I guess for lack of any better word, ultra minimalist industrial ambient again, I guess. Very slow paced and very just drony, so to speak. And if I'm honest, not a very good album. Again, much like when I found the Ordo Equilibrio album, I was kind of excited about this because I had never heard it before. And I was like, yeah. And having enjoyed some of the other stuff that Archon Satani put out when it was the duo of the two gentlemen, I thought it was quite a bit better. But this solo stuff here is, I don't know, man. It leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, maybe if I had heard this back in 1994, it would have made a bigger impact on me. But this is just really dark ambient industrial music at its absolutely bare bones and most minimal, and it's about it. It's not terrible, it's not bad necessarily, but it's heard a lot better before, man. And even kind of really peculiar is the first song. Like, it starts out with this percussion, and then it's like 8 minutes of basically silence. It's like this real low humming drone that if you turn your knob on your stereo up to about 75, you'll actually hear it, but if you have it like at a normal volume, you won't hear it at all. So it's really weird. But interesting characteristic about this, especially after just talking about Ordo Equilibrio and their often S&M and bondage themes, is that this too has a sort of, yeah, kind of a comparable theme. In Shelter, we have two people's wrists shackled together here, and then there's the back cover. Then we have this person here, I believe to be a guy. I can't really tell. Yeah, so there's that. But yeah, anyway, obviously the S&M and bondage themes are present here, and that looks to be some guy's chest. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think if you want to hear Archon Satani at their buttery best, probably the album you want to go with is the Virgin Birth cassette demo from 1990. That seems to be that's like the best stuff they've put out. It's really good. But this, on the other hand, and the fact that I paid like $11 for this, I don't know, man. I've definitely heard better dark ambient industrial music before, so whatever. Archon Satani in Shelter. Well. The next album was sort of a blast from the past for me. What I mean to say by that is, this is a band that I remember reading about in a distro like 20 years ago. Couldn't tell you exactly the distro, but if you flash back to 20 years ago, I was pretty obsessively ordering stuff from distros like Middle Pillar or Strange Fortune. And I'm pretty sure that's where I read about this band. But back then, I just never actually ordered anything from this band. But something in the description that they had on their website really intrigued me. I don't even know what. But anyway, the band in question here is Ain Soph and their album Kisatria, if I'm saying that right, and I highly doubt I am. Yeah, you can take that to Google Translate and see what it gives you, but I'm probably mispronouncing that. So, Ain Soph is a long-running band from Rome, Italy. They formed in the early 80s and they put out their first release in 1984. And I'm guessing over the years their music has changed quite a bit. In fact, I know it has. I'm guessing if this album's any indication, as I believe this is their first proper album, they probably started out more in the industrial noise or dark ambient field of things. And then they progressed on to this album, which, how would one describe this album? Well, there's characteristics of neoclassical, there's characteristics of folk music, there's noise pieces here and there. There's like some female, like sort of operatic singing here and there. It's a very diverse and very interesting album. When I saw this, I was just like, I gotta see what the deal with this band is. And I sort of have mixed feelings on this. I feel like there was a lot of potential here, but it wasn't really fully realized. And my understanding too is as time would go by throughout the 90s, the band would change their style quite a bit. They would eventually go in sort of a dark rock and then a dark progressive sort of style, abandoning a lot of the noisy and industrial characteristics that they were originally founded on. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've only listened to it like about 3 times since I got it, and I'm intrigued, and I want to hear more. So I'm definitely gonna see if I can find their next album cheaper, just because I want to see where the band went from here, because it's interesting. It sort of also kind of falls into that weird area of like ritualistic ambient too. It's cool. I don't really know what to label it as though, and I think if you heard it too, you're gonna probably be like, this is weird. I don't know what to call this. So as you can see, I didn't pay too much for it, so no major loss there, and I was quite excited. I didn't even realize there was a booklet in here. Okay, let's see what we got in there. So there's that. Well, lots of lyrics or writings in Italian then. Yeah, I guess it's all in Italian. Well, the singing was, as I was listening to, it was definitely in Italian. Looks like some English, then some Latin there. Yeah, man, really interesting stuff here. But again, I don't know how to describe this, man. It's really weird. Definitely for the more adventurous listeners out there, not to say that I'm not that listener, but look it up, man. I think if you want something really unique and something that's just really out there, you're probably going to dig Ain Soph. Check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more album to talk about in this here collection update, and let me tell you, this is a weird one. I need to finish this beer. That's really thick beer, I can't chug it. Okay. Alright, so up next, and the final album I'm going to talk about in this collection update is Nocturnal Emissions, Mouth of Babes. So, this is weird, man. Okay, so Nocturnal Emissions, another project I have just known about for years and years and years, but never really, or maybe I heard a song here and there in like an online radio or something like that, but I never really investigated it too much. So when I came across this used, I was like, all right, let's see what the hell Nocturnal Emissions is about. And as far as I know, they have mostly stayed within the industrial noise, dark ambient, and experimental field of things. I don't know. Mouth of Babes is definitely experimental. So apparently back in 1989, some of the people from this band, they recorded basically various sounds of 3 infants no older than 18 months old. And then I'm guessing what they did is they took these recorded sounds and put them through effects pedals or something like that, loops and all this kind of stuff, tape manipulations, and made these really eerie and weird sort of repetitive baby songs, I guess, for a lack of any better word. It's baby music sort of taken to this weird sort of psychedelic and droney sort of territory, and I've never heard anything like this. This is very interesting. So when I found this, I didn't know what the fuck I was getting myself into. No clue. I just thought Mouth of Babes. Okay, whatever. And for the record, I think like a baby crying is unquestionably like the most annoying goddamn sound on the whole planet. I mean, it's at least one of the reasons why I told my wife 10 years ago when we first met, like, just so you know, I don't want any fucking kids. It's not for me. I don't want to do this shit. And, you know, thankfully she was, had very similar ideas about kids. So here we are nearly 10 years later and we have not had kids, and we're both now in our 40s, or she's almost in her 40s, I'm 42. We have no kids and we don't plan to. But anyway, basically what we have here is various just repetitive and looped sounds, baby sounds. Little, like sounds that a fucking baby would make. Certain sounds have a sort of droney and hypnotic quality to it, where like if you're kind of like chilling out and zoning or smoking a doobie, it has an interesting effect on you. But just for the sake of like musical enjoyment, there's a bit to be left desired here. There's certainly no sense of melody or anything here. It's experimental music for those that just want to hear something experimental and different. And for something that was originally released in 1990, this being a CD re-release that came out in 1991 here, yeah, it's absolutely unique. I mean, I guess for the lack of, you know, I don't know what to file under, so I filed under dark ambient, and I guess that, sure, fine, but this is a whole genre unto itself here. Baby sounds, manipulated baby sounds, and yeah, man. it's special, let me tell you. So, here we see the front cover, back cover. As you see, there's quite a few different songs. It's like 65 minutes long, so it's quite a bit to endure. And, you know, like I said, yeah. So, in the booklet, there is a lot of information. So, you get the basic, like, recording information on this first page. And then there's several pages sort of like, I guess sort of like scientific, like, evidence about, like, babies, infants, like, reaction to music and sounds. And if I'm honest with you, I found it to be a lot more interesting than I expected it to be. But it was a fascinating read about just kind of how babies react to, you know, both like the sound of their mother's voice as opposed to their father's voice, and their reaction to like synthesized music and notes and all this kind of stuff. And I guess it maybe explains why some of us, you know, have a stronger passion for music as we get older and develop our tastes. Yeah. But anyway, it was released on Soleil Moon Recordings. Long-running label has put out a slew of just, you know, dark ambient, industrial, just all kinds of shit over the years. I mean, I think the label's been going since like the mid-'80s. So, yeah, Mouth of Babes by Nocturnal Emissions. Now, I have to say, additionally, much like Ain Soph, now that I've heard this, I really would like to hear more. So if anyone out there is familiar with Nocturnal Emissions or Ain Soph, please advise me where to go next with this, with these bands. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining me here on the Noctilucant YouTube channel. It's been a long time since I've done a collection update, and I apologize for that, but I will be back soon again with another one, because I have more interesting things to talk about. Once again, it's all going to kind of fall underneath that, you know, that post-industrial umbrella that I've sort of spoken about recently, and it's been raining a lot too, so I could really use an umbrella over my head. And other than that, you know, if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up if you want. If you didn't, well, fuck you! But I hope you did enjoy it, I really do. Anyway, cheers to beers. Thank you once again, John, for this beer. This video is dedicated to you, my friend. Cheers, yeah.